On the 4th of August, 1962, Marilyn Monroe was found dead on the floor in her apartment next to an empty bottle of barbiturate pills. Her autopsy revealed that she overdosed on the drugs. This unfortunate incident left thousands of people in the world wondering if her death was accidental or suicide. Despite the fact that Marilyn Monroe's creative works dominated the entertainment industry during the golden age of television, there are some details about her life that have remained a mystery. This video will answer some of your burning questions about the unforgettable 1960s legend. Now, before we get into the video, I've noticed that only a small percentage of people that watch my videos are actually subscribed. So, if you end up liking the video, please do consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind. Now, enjoy the video. What is Marilyn Monroe's real name and family background? All through Marilyn's career, she was referred to as Marilyn Monroe. But what most people don't know is that Marilyn is not her real name. Just like most Hollywood stars, she changed her name when her career began to take off. She wanted a name that was unique and one that she could use as a stage name all through her career. Also, a lot of her fans and viewers know all about the highlights of her career and achievements in Hollywood, but most people are curious to know what her childhood was like. Marilyn was born on the 1st of June, 1926, and was given the birth name Norma Jean Mortensen. She spent the most part of her early years with her mother, Gladys Pearl Baker, who emigrated to California in search of greener pastures. As time went by, it was becoming harder for Marilyn's mother to fend for her due to her poor state of finances. This led her to making a difficult decision to leave Marilyn with foster parents in Hawthorne while she traveled to the city to work. Marilyn ended up spending most of her formative years in over 10 foster homes. Her unstable childhood came with a lot of adverse effects, as she was sexually abused in some of her foster homes, and she even began to feel abandoned at a point in her life. In 1934, her mother was able to take a loan which enabled her to buy a small house in Hollywood. She then brought Marilyn to live with her, and things were finally beginning to take shape for them. Unfortunately, just a year after they moved into her new home, Marilyn's mother started experiencing drastic mental breakdowns. She was later diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, and she spent the rest of her life in and out of hospitals, leaving Marilyn in the hands of foster care once again. A few years later, her mother's friend Grace Goddard took her in and took full responsibility for her. Sadly, things turned sour for Marilyn when Grace's husband, Doc, started sexually abusing her. After a few years, Grace and her family were set to relocate to West Virginia, but they weren't allowed to take Marilyn. In order to prevent being placed in another orphanage, Marilyn married her neighbor's son at the age of 16. It was Marilyn's childhood experiences that first made her want to become an actor in the future. In a later interview, she said, "I didn't like the world around me because it was kind of grim. When I heard about being an actress, I said, that's what I want to be." Some of my foster families used to send me to the movies to get me out of the house, and I'd sit there all day and all night. There I was, a little kid in front of a big screen, and I loved it. What made Marilyn Monroe so special? There's no denying that Marilyn Monroe is one of the most unforgettable entertainers to have walked the earth. She made history all through the 1950s and 1960s through her blonde bombshell comedic performances in films like Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and How to Marry a Millionaire. Her unique acts paved the way for her to build a powerful image for herself in the movie industry at that time. There are several things that have made Marilyn so special over the years. Some people admire her because of her top-notch humorous performances, which have remained highly entertaining even till date. Some are drawn to her tenacity and strength, as she never allowed any challenge to stop her from going after her goals. Her childhood was not the most favorable, but she rose above it all and made a name for herself. While she was growing her career, she began to face typecasting problems, and she was also underpaid for her work. This led her to building her own film production company, after which she received notable roles in movies like Bus Stop and The Prince and The Showgirl. From her phenomenal acting to her attractive physical attributes and her tenacity, Marilyn was and still is seen as one of the most special actresses of all time. Her in-depth qualities truly made her stand out from the rest. Who did Marilyn Monroe get married to? All through Marilyn's lifetime, she had a string of lovers. She kept some of her relationships private, and she made some public. She dated several influential men at the time like Frank Sinatra and Marlon Brando. Apart from her romantic relationships, which didn't last long, she actually got married 3 times. Due to the fact that she was one of the most attractive and desired actresses in the 1950s, most people are curious to know who she ended up getting married to. Her first marriage was in 1942 when she got married to her aunt's neighbor's son, James Dougherty, with the aim of escaping abusive foster homes. Her then husband was a 21-year-old police officer, and he was skeptical about marrying her because she was only 16 years old at the time. The first few years of the marriage were good, and they kept trying to make it work till her husband went away to serve in the Marines. During that period, Marilyn got a modeling job and began to acquire fame as her pictures began to show up on tons of magazine covers. With her newfound fame, she decided to divorce her husband and move to Hollywood to pursue her passion. Their marriage officially came to an end in 1946. After several months in the entertainment industry, Marilyn got married again to former baseball star Joe DiMaggio. Their marriage was said to be one of the most admired marriages at the time, and their love for each other was evident. However, as time went by, the marriage became chaotic. Joe had a temper, and he hated the fact that she was seen as a sex symbol. Just a year after the wedding, they both decided to get divorced in 1955. Her last marriage was in 1956 to Arthur Miller. Even though their marriage came as a shock to many due to their striking differences in character and personality, they both seemed happy and in love. After a while, she began to have marital issues, and it was later revealed that Arthur was embarrassed and ashamed to be married to her. She later filed for a divorce in 1961 due to several issues that their marriage was facing at the time. Did Marilyn Monroe have any children? Over the years, a lot of rumors have circulated about Marilyn Monroe's life, and one of the most frequently asked questions about her is if she had any children. Some people assume that she had children, and some of her children are even famous today. On the contrary, reliable sources have confirmed that Marilyn Monroe never had any children, but she got pregnant 3 times while she was married to Arthur Miller. Sadly, she miscarried twice, and one of her pregnancies was an ectopic pregnancy. The fact that she never carried her pregnancies to term left her feeling devastated for the most part of her life, and she desired to have children of her own one day. What is Marilyn Monroe's net worth? Marilyn's efforts to build and sustain a successful career definitely paid off in the end. She did everything in her power to escape the poverty that she experienced for the most of her childhood. From the early 1950s, Marilyn became a top-billed actress for over a decade, and by the time she died in 1962, she had a net worth of over $800,000. Her net worth is estimated to be $30 million presently. Unfortunately, Marilyn Monroe died at the age of 36 as a result of a barbiturate overdose on the 4th of August 1962 in her home in Los Angeles. The sad news of her death came as a shock to the world, and her legacy continues to live on. So, which of these facts about Marilyn Monroe caught your interest the most? Let us know in the comments section, and check out the next video in this series. It promises to be entertaining.